Hey guys, what's up? And Shadolance back for another review. Today I'm coming back with the PP-19, another GP gun. Usually you don't see these kind of older GP guns used as much anymore with the exclusion of the P90. That's still pretty widely used. The UMP LE is used, and so is the 45. But the one that people typically buy for GP, which is just the UMP, which is, like I said, the same as the UMP LE. People just don't typically use those anymore. They use the higher ranked ones, like the Micro Uzi and the other stuff. Micro Uzi is an X variant. Uzi metal and those guns, they're typically more widely used these days, but still great guns. I mean, these guns are really fantastic, and they were really popular at a time for a reason, and in my opinion, they're still some of the best guns in the game you can use, especially if you're new and getting used to the game, because they really give you a good feel. So if you're kind of a newer player watching this review, I highly suggest going out and checking out some of these guns. The UMP, PP-19, P90, they're very low-ranked weapons, so you should all get a chance to use them at some point. So going into the stats, damage is 35, very high for an SMG, especially one that comes out this early in the game. Portability of 80 is a little bit low for SMGs, but it's still plenty high, and you will be able to run with it with no problem. It's around the range of most knives, swords, that kind of stuff, maybe a little bit lower. Rate of fire of 82 is pretty high in general. I mean, it does have a fast fire rate, but for an SMG, that's a bit outdated. 90 is the new kind of maroon for that, so 82 is a bit on the low side. Accuracy of 70 is pretty high for an SMG, actually. That's considered very, very high. Most SMGs are between 60 and 65, not usually touching 70, so 70 is a nice little change of pace. That's pretty nice to go with the higher damage. It makes it more like an assault rifle and less like an actual SMG. Recoil of 75 is very, very high, and the gun does reflect that. This gun, of the three original UMP, P90, and the PP-19 itself, has the highest recoil. And you can see it in both the pattern and the stat. The stat's very high, and the pattern is actually very difficult to control, especially if you try to put a scope on this gun, because you actually can do that. As far as that's concerned, you can put a scope and suppressor on this. It already has a massive magazine size of 65 of 65. If you can't kill at least multi-kill within 65 shots, you probably need to find another game to play. Even if you're new to this game, 65 shots should be plenty to get at least 3 kills without having to reload. Try to focus on using that. Maybe that's a good way to gauge for your kills. Maybe if you're new to the game, that's a good way to gauge your skill. So, at least seeing how good you can aim and keep your target on center, it's probably a good way to test it, in my opinion. It is a fully automatic SMG. I feel like if it had a burst mode, it'd be a little bit too overpowered, because then you could tap fire at longer ranges, and with a higher damage SMG like this, 2 burst modes could easily kill somebody. Now, this gun is a little bit weird with the damage. Although it has a very high damage, it has a very strange damage drop-off. It was very, very hard for me to calculate it. In general, it tends to be a 3 to 4 shot kill at close ranges, typically leaning towards the 4 shot range. However, at longer ranges, it can vary anywhere between a 5 and an 8 shot kill, and I see no consistency with vesting, so that's very, very strange. I've seen light vesters take 8 shots to kill at certain higher ranges, and I've seen tanker vesters only take 5 shots, and that's going at from 100 HP, from 100 AP/armor points, so very, very inconsistent at longer ranges, which can be a good or a bad thing. It can surprise you and make you happy, surprisingly, or it can make you kind of annoyed, which is also kind of a downside. So overall, the jumping spread, very, very large, kind of hard to control, and it does not have the fastest spread recovery in the world. It's not bad by any means, but it's not lightning fast, which would be really appreciated on this gun, especially with the size of the recoil, like I've mentioned a few times now. So the gun's just in general very, very weird. It's not as, I don't want to say unique, because it isn't entirely unique. There are other guns that try to perform similarly. The P90 is a good example. Other PP-19 variants as well. Any kind of SMG that has a higher magazine size. One could argue the UMP with 35 shots per magazine, but I'm more or less looking at the P90 series and the PP-19 series when I say that. So in general, it's a fine gun to use, great gun to get to use to learn the game with, and just in general, a very solid SMG. Hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys in the next video. Shadolance out.